Yes, there are myths of grief, and this is very important. We're going to spend a lot of time on this, right? This is a general overview, and we're going to go through each one of these individually and really spell this out. Okay, I've seen a lot of questions that have come up here, and I've seen them, and I said I think we're going to answer a lot of them through this process, so we're going to have a lot of opportunity to be able to share about this. So myths of grief, overview, barriers to healthy grieving. Okay, so invalidating emotions, definitely really important. Replacing loss with something positive. Easier to grieve alone. Time heals all wounds. Being strong for others and staying busy. So we're going to jump right into all of these and get into that. So invalidating feelings of grief. Now, I know that emotions can be very uncomfortable. They're invisible. We don't see them, but we can feel them. And it can make us sometimes feel very unsettled. And there's a part of us that feels like we want to be happy and joyful all the time. And when we're not happy and joyful, it feels like as if there's something wrong and I got to fix that. And so we have to really get into a deep space of sort of recognizing, hey, you know what, sometimes emotions are uncomfortable, but there's an experience here that invalidating those feelings can actually perpetuate grief and put grief into a chronic place or even into a complex place. So emotions are not logical or rational. We can't outthink them. We're not robots, we're humans. And so sometimes we might use this phrase with people to help, soften their blow of the experience they're having, like saying, don't feel bad, they're not suffering anymore. While it might be true, and you might be right, that the person who has transitioned may not be suffering, to say to somebody not to feel bad is invalidating their feelings. And so this can be very complex for people to feel that way. So we have to be very careful about the nature of being factual and needing to be right as a logical and rational approach, because it can very much invalidate the feelings and the emotional state of somebody and put them and feel like if they're judged or shamed in that experience. I want to just take a pause because I know that a lot of people on the chat group are sharing some losses of family members that they've had through this last year that were very close with them. And I just want to offer my love and compassion to you and the losses that you've had. So sorry that has existed. And thank you for being open to sharing in this group. Okay, so tips to help associated with invalidating feelings. Remember that grief is an absolutely normal and natural reaction to any loss. Sometimes we may have a huge wave of feelings that may come across, and sometimes they might even be contradictory. So we might feel some things like relief and sadness at the same time, and that can be very confusing for us, right? Because sometimes we often think that grief is solely sadness or solely sorrow. But if grief is a process, then grief might have varying levels of emotions that might come up for us. So this is something that we got to really spend some time with and really get in there. At times, you might even feel that there are no feelings at all. You might feel numb. You might actually have delayed expressions of grief where you might not feel anything for a period of time, and it may take your body, your physiology, your spirit some time to be able to get to a space where you can feel those feelings. That's okay too. So sometimes you might be in this tidal wave of an emotion, and then all of a sudden come into this experience without not feeling anything, and then come into a tidal wave of emotion and then feel it. And you might ebb and flow through series of time and through days that's like this. The key to this experience and helping to alleviate this is to really name the emotion. We've been learning a lot of the research on emotional intelligence and emotional resiliency. And sometimes emotions, because of their invisibility and this feeling that comes up, can give this feelings of suffocation or tightness in the chest or this lump in the throat. And we can help to alleviate that expression by starting to name these emotions. It becomes very, very helpful. This is very, very useful in this context to be able to name and to get a clarity behind it. Carl Jung, a psychologist in the early 20th century, says, "What you resist persists." It's a shortened quote that he has that's actually remarkably sophisticated. So when we start to deny or push away those feelings and say, no, I don't want to feel that. No, I don't want to be a part of that. Or you tell others to do so, somehow it makes them stronger. It makes them bigger. And all of a sudden, what you're trying to avoid and push away becomes larger in your life. And so sometimes we have to just be present with it and get into that space. So often what grievers really need is an opportunity to have their feelings validated. They need a listening ear and a kind presence. And this can be one of the most profound ways if you have a friend who's grieving, you yourself are grieving. This is an experience of just being able to talk it out and share your experience. It can be so beautiful. So remember that judgment and shame only perpetuate the pain and the pain cycle. So grief is sometimes like this huge tangled ball of emotions. We call it the yarn ball of grief, or the ball of grief. Sometimes they could just be intertwined within each other. They feel knotted inside ourselves. And so what we want to be able to do is get into an experience of naming those feelings, okay? So helping us to identify what they are. And denial is right there, right at the center. And I know in a lot of our Punjabi Sangat, our Punjabi culture, we do this a lot. We want to feel happy. We want to be strong. I'm going to talk about that a little more. And we almost really want to push the denial piece there and really feel like, avoidant behavior. It's important to allow ourselves to get into a feeling space to do it. And meditation is very helpful, because meditation is getting us to a space where we can be neutral and clear within ourselves. It helps us develop this witness capacity, or what we call metacognition, the ability to observe and witness our experience without being so much in the center of it. So by having meditation and mindfulness a part of our life, the brain centers and the neurochemistry, the neuroanatomy starts to remarkably change. Just like you do weightlifting to exercise your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders, there's a lot of weightlifting that we can do in terms of a mindfulness practice to help shift the neurochemistry to allow us to be in a much more metacognitive state. In doing so, we actually are working on centers of the brain that love and open us to in a great experience for us to have much more emotional resilience and intelligence that helps us to feel and be comfortable feeling these emotions. So as soon as we can name them, that's the best. That's what we want to be able to accomplish there. Then you start to notice that they cease to have power over you in your life. You could feel a little bit more at ease and feel much more at peace within yourself. Okay, good. Let's move to the next one. So the key takeaways here. Invalidating your authentic feelings only perpetuates the grieving process. Name the emotion takes away its power. When supporting another, do your best not to fix their pain. We all want to do that. We all want to make people feel better. We all want to be helpers and supporters in our life. But when we try to fix another person's pain, it gives them the feeling that they may be broken. No, they're not broken. They're grieving. Presence, kindness, listening ear, those are the key takes away for helping them.